very ominous signs for him, although interestingly, we haven't seen the indictments yet. There's been some time lag. I suppose it will take some time to go through all the forensic.
When you get to the parties, they come out and collect everybody's phone. So now it's just your word against a billionaire. You're gonna lose.
Kim Kardashian just made the biggest mistake of her life. Sources confirm she's now cooperating with the FBI in Diddy's trafficking case. But here's the twist. She wasn't just a guest at those parties. She was allegedly a key player. And if the feds flip her testimony, the entire Kardashian empire could collapse overnight. We're not talking about bad PR or canceled sponsorships. We're talking about sealed indictments, immunity deals, and a family scrambling to rewrite history before the courts do it for them. This isn't speculation, it's happening right now.
Never mind.
I really do feel this way. This Kim Kardashian devoted her life to something, but it certainly wasn't the pursuit of academic excellence. She didn't even go to college, Harvey.
We are going to.
Court documents obtained last week reveal Kim's name surfaced in Diddy's indictment under sealed testimony. And if you think this is just about bad optics, think again. Legal experts say her cooperation isn't voluntary. It's a last-ditch deal to avoid her own arrest. Let's rewind 72 hours. On November 29th, federal prosecutors quietly unsealed a motion referencing an unnamed, high-profile female associate of Diddy's who provided critical evidence in exchange for immunity. That same day, Kim's team scrubbed her Instagram of every photo with Diddy, even the ones from 2019 where she called his gatherings epic. Coincidence? Not when you factor in the raid on her Calabasas home last month, where agents allegedly seized a safe containing digital media tied to Diddy's freak-off events.
I'm sorry, I'm just I'm in this moment right now. This is crazy. Sorry. People don't really know how much what it does to you when something that you love is taken from you and thrown away like it don't even matter, and then they move on with their lives and you're stuck. You're stuck during those years. You're still stuck 21 years later.
This is the woman who built a billion-dollar brand on family-friendly image deals with Disney and SKIMS. Yet here she is, reportedly bargaining with prosecutors over footage so damning, insiders say it could end careers beyond Diddy's. What's on those tapes? And why is Kim the only Kardashian cutting a deal? The answers might lie in the timing. Her brain aneurysm diagnosis, conveniently announced the same week Diddy's lawyers subpoenaed her medical records, was framed as stress-induced. But court leaks suggest prosecutors believe it's a stall tactic, buying time while her legal team negotiates a plea that keeps her out of orange jumpsuits. But here's where it gets worse. Remember Khloe's 2014 confession about Diddy's naked parties? The ones where she name-dropped Justin Bieber as a guest? Legal filings now suggest those weren't just wild nights. They were allegedly recruitment hubs. And Kim wasn't just there. She was reportedly hosting. Multiple sources tell us she introduced underage talent to Diddy's inner circle, including a then 19-year-old Bieber. If that's true, her FBI cooperation isn't just about saving herself. It's about burying evidence before Bieber's team flips on her.
Actually, I think we're out of time. I was going to ask nothing more to say about what people said about your father, your biological father.
And let's talk about the money. Kris Jenner suddenly liquidated $12 million in real estate last week. West's lawyers are demanding emergency custody of North West. And Kim's own medical records, subpoenaed by Diddy's defense, now sit in a federal evidence locker. This isn't a scandal. It's a collapse. The question isn't whether Kim was involved. It's how deep the involvement goes and who else in that family knew. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the cracks are showing. West's latest rant, where he named LeBron James, Jay-Z, and Beyoncé as controlled celebrities, wasn't just a meltdown. It was a warning. Sources close to Ye claim he's been compiling evidence for months, including texts between Kim and Diddy's team discussing private encounters at his LA mansion. And if you think this is just Ye being Ye, consider this. His legal team just filed a motion to depose Kim under oath about her role in Diddy's circle. The hearing is set for January 15th.
So he put his hands on females, put his hands on producers, executives. That's just his. I guess that's what the whole name bad boy comes from. That people don't really understand. What is it? What is a bad boy? Why did he choose that name? He never really gave a clear definition of how he feels about that name. Not yet.
But the most damning detail might be what's missing. Kim's Season 7 trailer for the Kardashians promises unforgettable moments and deeply personal challenges. Yet not a single frame shows Diddy, Bieber, or any reference to the parties that defined their social scene for years. That's not editing. That's damage control. And it's not working. Because while Kim's team scrubs her past, the FBI is building a case that could rewrite her future.
And what's really going to be interesting is the parade of celebrities who we expect to be mentioned and or called into that courtroom. People who we hadn't heard about prior, like Mike Myers. You know, Austin Powers, Mike Myers, why is he getting called? Why is he on the witness list? That'll be fascinating. And then, of course, there are the no-name, quote unquote, women who are going to have to find every ounce of courage they have.
Now, let's connect the dots. Khloe's 2014 party recap, where she casually mentioned Bieber and half the people there were naked, wasn't just oversharing. It was a confession. And Kim's silence since then speaks volumes. Why did she unfollow Diddy the day before his homes were raided? Why did her lawyers file an emergency motion to block Ye from discussing their daughter's exposure to adult environments? And why, in the middle of all this, did she let North West spend her birthday with Kai Cenat, a streamer who publicly clashed with Ye over inappropriate content? The answers might lie in the timing of Kim's aneurysm diagnosis. Doctors called it stress-related, but insiders say the real trigger was a subpoena for her phone records. Specifically, messages from 2014 to 2016, the peak of Diddy's freak-off era. And if you think this is just about Kim, think again. Kris Jenner's sudden real estate sell-off? Kylie's team quietly distancing her from old Diddy party photos? This is a family in survival mode.
Man, this timeline is crazy, man.
I know. So many things coming at one time. Now, R. Kelly is at...
But here's the twist no one's talking about. Kim's cooperation deal isn't just about Diddy. It's about the others. The names we haven't heard yet. The ones who attended those parties, who signed NDAs, who took the private jets and never asked questions. Because if Kim's flipping, she's not just naming Diddy, she's naming everyone. And that's why West's custody fight isn't about parenting. It's about protection. Because if North West ever testifies about what she saw at those parties, the Kardashian brand doesn't just take a hit. It ceases to exist. And then there's the Bieber factor. Justin's team has been eerily silent since the indictment dropped. But sources say his lawyers are already in talks with prosecutors, offering context about his time in Diddy's circle. Context that allegedly includes Kim's role as a liaison. If Bieber turns state's witness, Kim's immunity deal becomes worthless. And that's when the dominoes fall.
It's probably leaning towards guilt. Now, on the racketeering, I agree with you that the predicate acts may be found, but that's not all they need. There's an ultimate question. The first question on the jury verdict form is, do you find him guilty or not guilty of racketeering? Before you even get to the predicate acts, which you only get to if you find guilt, they could just be hung up on that question and say, this guy's not Tony Soprano. I am not convinced that I even want to find guilt on the act.
So let's recap what we know. Kim's cooperating. Kris is selling assets. West's lawyering up. And somewhere in a federal evidence locker, there's a safe full of footage that could bring it all down. The only question left is this. When the FBI flips Kim's testimony, who's she throwing under the bus? Because the feds don't offer immunity for free, and the answer might explain why, last night, Kim's security detail doubled outside her Hidden Hills compound. Because in Hollywood, when the walls close in, the first rule is simple. Protect the brand at all costs. Even if that means sacrificing your own.
Let's get into this Yeetie. All right. Well, Kim Porter, you know, that is Diddy's ex, who's also the mother of his 3 of his children, has detailed the alleged abuse that she suffered at his hands. Oh, no. And this is all in a memoir.
Kim isn't the only Kardashian sweating. Sources inside Diddy's defense team claim Kris Jenner's name appeared in 3 separate witness statements about talent procurement for Diddy's events. And no, we're not talking about booking DJs. We're talking about allegations that Kris, through her church connections, helped facilitate private meet and greets for Diddy with young stars, including a 16-year-old Justin Bieber in 2010. If that's true, Kim's FBI deal might be a Hail Mary to protect her mom, because Kris doesn't have immunity, and neither does Khloe, who's now deleting every tweet mentioning Diddy's name, including that infamous 2014 clip where she laughed about half the people there being naked. The panic isn't just about optics, it's about survival. Because if Kris is named in Diddy's sentencing memo, the Kardashian matriarch isn't just facing a PR nightmare, she's facing a subpoena. And unlike Kim, she doesn't have a billion-dollar brand to bargain with.
That he has with others, and just because no one else has been charged, which normally in a RICO case you would have others charged. It was a statute designed to get mob bosses, trying to get at criminal behavior that's like a web of criminal behavior that you can't necessarily prove, like the one thing or the statute of limitations expired on the other thing, but you're just showing this bad guy who's operating what's clearly an enterprise that over and over engages in criminal problems or criminal acts.
Follow the money. Kim's SKIMS empire just secured a $150 million emergency loan, right as her divorce settlement with Ye is being reopened. Why? Because West's lawyers are arguing her hidden liabilities, aka legal fees from Diddy's case, violate their custody agreement. And here's the kicker. Court filings show Kim's legal team is the same firm representing 2 of Diddy's accusers. That's not a conflict of interest. That's a coordinated strategy. One that suggests Kim's cooperation isn't just about avoiding prison. It's about controlling the narrative before Ye exposes her in family court. Because if he proves she lied about North's exposure to Diddy's circle, Kim doesn't just lose custody. She loses everything.
Did Phil explain why he's speaking out now?
He said he's speaking out because he believes Diddy's a predator. He wants accountability, and he doesn't want someone like this to run unchecked in the future.
And speaking of his latest rant wasn't just about Pete Davidson. Buried in his 3 a.m. Twitter thread was a direct accusation. Kim knew about the cameras. Plural. As in, not just Diddy's infamous hidden recording setup, but her own. Remember her 2007 tape? Sources say the FBI now has a second recording, this one from Diddy's 2012 New Year's Eve party, and it allegedly shows Kim in a role that's far more incriminating than guest. We're talking about footage so explosive, insiders claim it's the reason her team scrubbed her social media of every Diddy reference before the indictment even dropped. Because if that tape surfaces, it's not just her reputation on the line, it's her freedom. Let's lay out the timeline of Kim's betrayals, because this isn't just about Diddy. First, she throws Ye under the bus in 2021, leaking his texts to paint him as unstable. Then, she distances herself from Diddy in March 2025, after his homes are raided, after the grand jury indicts him. Now, she's reportedly giving the feds names of other A-listers at those parties, while her own sisters scramble to hire criminal defense attorneys. The pattern's clear. Kim doesn't cut ties, she cuts throats. And right now, the knife is pointed at her own family, because if Kris and Khloe go down with her, the Kardashian brand doesn't just take a hit, it implodes, and Kim knows it.
It's telling that of the 15 causes of action you mentioned, the first cause of action that the plaintiff's attorney lists.
But here's what no one's talking about. The FBI's interest in Kim didn't start with Diddy. It started with Northwest. West's custody filings include a bombshell claim that Diddy's team once offered 6 figures to feature North in a music video, an offer Kim allegedly entertained. If that's true, her FBI cooperation isn't just about past crimes. It's about covering up how close her daughter came to being part of Diddy's next scandal. And that's why West's legal team is pushing for emergency hearings. Because if North ever testifies about what she saw at those parties, Kim's immunity deal won't matter. The damage will already be done.
A lot of black magic comes with human organs. Chicken sacrifices with the human heart. These things are going on. So the rumors are true, I'm gonna tell you that much.
While Kim cuts deals with the feds, Kris Jenner's been quietly moving money through an unexpected channel. Her California community church, better known as Churchome. Public records show the Kardashians tithe 10% of their income, millions annually, to this nonprofit, which has enjoyed tax-exempt status since its founding. But here's the problem. 3 of Diddy's accusers have now testified in sealed depositions that Churchome leaders helped facilitate settlements for them in 2018. As in, hush money disguised as charitable donations. As in, potential money laundering through a megachurch with direct ties to the Kardashian empire. And guess who sits on Churchome's board? Corey Gamble, Kris's longtime boyfriend, Diddy's former business associate, and the man has repeatedly accused of having intelligence community connections. The same Corey Gamble who, according to flight records, accompanied Diddy on at least 7 private jet trips between 2016 and 2019. Trips that allegedly included stops in the Bahamas, where some of Diddy's most controversial gatherings took place.
I thought he was this clean businessman who rise to the top because he was such a powerful and, smart, educated man. I had no idea that he had this other side to him. And when I started to get exposed to his lifestyle, I started to really realize, this guy has an addiction. It's not just, once every few weeks, it's every day, every hour.
Hey, yo, Phil, can you...
Let's connect to the dots. In 2020, Churchome suddenly purchased a $20 million property in Malibu, paid for in cash, with no mortgage records. That same year, Diddy's first wave of legal troubles began, with multiple lawsuits alleging misconduct at his events. Then, in 2023, Churchome loaned $5 million to a shell company registered in Delaware, one that shares an address with Diddy's former business manager, who's now a cooperating witness in the federal case. Now, the IRS is auditing Churchome's finances, with agents reportedly focusing on unusual large donations from celebrities tied to Diddy's circle. Coincidence? Not when you factor in that Justin Bieber, who's been named in Diddy's indictment, also donated $1.2 million to Churchome in 2021. The same year, he quietly settled a misconduct lawsuit with a former associate. If the feds start tracing those funds, Kris isn't just facing tax fraud charges. She's facing a RICO investigation that could unravel the entire family's financial empire.
Of coming forward, they've been afraid of what he could potentially do to them within the industry, what he could do to them professionally, maybe even personally. And so yes, it's been a dark secret they've held on to for a very, very long time.
And the connections don't stop there. Churchome's senior pastor, Judah Smith, has long been a spiritual advisor to the Kardashians, even officiating Ye and Kim's wedding. But court documents reveal Smith also traveled with Diddy to at least 3 of his retreat events in 2017, events now under federal scrutiny. More damning? Emails obtained by investigators show Smith communicating with Diddy's team about private counseling sessions for young celebrities who attended those gatherings. Sessions that, according to 2 accusers, were used to address concerns after questionable incidents. If those emails become public, Churchome's tax-exempt status isn't just at risk. The church itself could be charged with obstruction. And that's why Chris's legal team has been frantically negotiating with the IRS behind the scenes, offering to voluntarily adjust past filings in exchange for immunity.
How many people came through his orbit? How many people could this have happened to? And how did he get away with it?
But here's where it gets even messier. Churchome's financial records show multiple 6-figure scholarship payments to young women who later became associated with Diddy's inner circle. Payments labeled as educational grants, but with no corresponding school enrollment records. One recipient, a then 19-year-old model, received $250,000 in 2018, the same year she appeared in Diddy's Freak Off music video. That video is now Exhibit A in the federal case. And if prosecutors can prove those funds came from Diddy's network via Churchome, Chris isn't just an accessory. She's a co-conspirator in what the feds are calling a systematic effort to silence potential witnesses. That's not just a financial crime. That's a federal offense with a minimum 10-year sentence.
Are you surprised by the evidence that's already coming out in the criminal trial?
No, I'm not surprised. I experienced some of those things. Witness violence.
The real question isn't just about Chris's legal exposure. It's about how many other celebrities used Churchome to bury their sins. Because if the feds start pulling threads from this megachurch, they won't just find Diddy's associates. They'll find a who's who of Hollywood elites who've donated millions while allegedly using the church as a cleansing mechanism for their reputations. And that's why Kim's FBI cooperation deal might be more valuable than we thought. Because if she's naming names, she's not just talking about Diddy's parties. She's talking about who helped fund the cover-ups. And if Churchome's books are as dirty as insiders claim, Kris Jenner won't be the only one facing charges. The entire celebrity industrial complex could be on the hook.
Way up. Talk to him. It's Way Up. I'm here. B-Dot's here.
My name's B-Dot. Yes, I am.
Let's get into this Yeetie. All right. Well, Kim Porter, that is Diddy's ex, who's also the mother of his 3 of his children, has detailed the alleged abuse that she suffered.
Now, let's talk about the others. The names Kim's allegedly handing over to save herself. Because the FBI isn't just interested in Diddy's inner circle. They're interested in the enablers. And that list? It's longer than you think. We're talking about managers, publicists, even a certain late-night host who allegedly helped curate the guest lists for Diddy's most exclusive gatherings. And if you think Kim's the only one flipping, think again. Sources say Bieber's team has already met with prosecutors, twice. Because if Justin confirms Kim's role in those parties, her cooperation deal becomes a one-way ticket to prison. And that's why her legal team is pushing for a plea before Diddy's sentencing memo drops. Because once those names are public, the deals are off the table.
And so pretty much the defense was just disturbed, and this was a word that they had used. They called it disturbing that she was going on and doing a documentary, the BBC documentary about Diddy's life. Pretty much they were saying that it could violate rules of professional conduct, and the judge said that, he seemed to be taking this kind of matter seriously. Now, I will just kind of preface it and say that I haven't seen the documentary, but it's not out of the realm.
But the real question is this: what does Kim have that's worth trading for immunity? Because the FBI doesn't hand out get-out-of-jail-free cards for nothing, and the answer might lie in the one place no one's looked yet: her phone. Specifically, the messages between her and Diddy from 2014 to 2016, the ones where she allegedly discusses new talent for his parties, the ones where she references private rooms at his LA mansion, and the ones where she allegedly coordinates with Chris to keep things quiet. Because if those texts exist, Kim's not just a witness, she's a co-conspirator, and that's why her team is racing to strike a deal before the sentencing memo names her as one.
Now, according to this source, Trump is going back and forth on this, and there are some White House staff that are saying, don't do it, leave it alone, he wasn't supporting you. But the source made it clear Trump is going to do what he wants, so it can happen as early as this week.
And then there's the Bieber factor. Justin's silence isn't just strategic, it's survival. Because if he confirms Kim's role in introducing him to Diddy's circle, her immunity deal crumbles. And that's why his team is reportedly negotiating their own cooperation agreement. Because in this game, it's not about who talks first, it's about who talks last. And right now, Kim's betting everything on being the one who walks away. But here's the twist no one's seeing. Kim's brain aneurysm diagnosis wasn't just a medical scare, it was a warning, because the stress didn't come from her divorce. It came from the subpoena, the one demanding her medical records from 2014, the same year she allegedly attended Diddy's most infamous gatherings. And if you think that's a coincidence, consider this. The FBI's interest in Kim's health records isn't about her well-being, it's about her credibility. Because if they can prove she was lying about her stress levels, they can prove she was lying about her role in Diddy's world. And that's when the immunity deal turns into a trap.
You would think possibly, you know, it's the federal government building a case against you. Maybe you would go for the lesser offer, but again, that would be having to admit that he had did something wrong. And the defense has always maintained that he is innocent. He has done nothing wrong, that this is just, you know, these are just ex-girlfriends that are mad. Like just all these types of things that the defense is arguing.
So let's connect to the final dots. Kim's cooperating. Chris is panicking. Yee's lawyering up. And somewhere in a federal evidence locker, there's a safe full of footage that could bring it all down. But the real bombshell? It's not just about what Kim did, it's about what she's still doing. Because right now, her team is allegedly shopping a tell-all documentary, one that promises to set the record straight about her role in Diddy's downfall. But here's the catch. The FBI has final approval over the script. And that's not a documentary, that's a confession. There's one last piece to this puzzle, and it's the reason Kim's team is panicking. Next week, Diddy's sentencing memo drops. And if our sources are right, it names Kim not as a witness, but as a co-conspirator. The question isn't whether she'll survive this, it's whether the Kardashian brand survives her. Because if that memo names her, the deals are off, the immunity disappears. And Kim Kardashian doesn't just lose her empire, she loses her freedom. So tell us, do you think Kim's cooperation is about justice or survival? And if Kris Jenner's name is in that sentencing memo, is this the end of the Kardashian dynasty? Drop your theories below, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. Because when the memo drops, we'll be breaking it down like no one else can. Stay scandalous, stay suspicious, and remember, in Hollywood, the only thing more dangerous than a secret is the person keeping it. Until next time.